Hello and welcome to this edition of the Farrell Phelps Show, where my guest today is Pam Survillion. Pam is a former Harris County police officer who went through some troubling times in her life, but she's turned it all around. You're going to hear more about her story in just a moment. You guys stick around. You don't want to miss this show. Hello and welcome to this edition of the Farrell Phelps Show. My guest today is Pam Survillion. She's actually a former Harris County police officer, but she ended up on the other side of the law. You guys stick around so you can hear her story. Now, Pam, welcome to the show. Absolutely, absolutely. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're fine. Now, Pam, we know that you were a former Harris County police officer. How many years were you a police officer?
I was in law enforcement a total of 13 and a half years. I went to law school where I studied advanced criminal justice. When I left there, I started working at the Texas Department of Corrections. And when I left there, I got on the Harris County Sheriff.
Okay. So you stayed in law enforcement for a period of time?
13 and a half years altogether with schooling in the prison system. All that is still law enforcement.
Okay, so you were actually on the police force for how long?
13 and a half years.
On the police force for 13 and a half years?
About 4 years.
4 years on the police force. And then things happened in your life.
Yes.
Tell me about what happened that put you actually on the other side of the law. Tell me what led up to that.
Well, I was married for 17 years, and my husband and I began to have marital problems, trials and tribulations, you know. And we had 4 kids, and one I had before I got married, and all these trials and tribulations was overwhelming. So I began to drink alcohol, and that wasn't enough.
Okay.
Then I started doing crack cocaine. We ended up separating. He took the kids.
Okay.
Yes, I ended up.
You know what? Now, when you talk about, I want to go back just a little bit.
Okay.
When you talk about we had trials and tribulations, it's not unusual for a marriage or relationship to have trials and tribulations. What specifically were the trials and tribulations that took place in your marriage that caused things to transition in your life?
Well, he was a police officer, and he was working all the time, and you know, the other women, I believe, you know.
Okay.
We were arguing all the time, and I was with the kids, and you know, we just at the period we just couldn't get along.
Okay. So you felt like he was working all the time,
Right.
and there may have been other women,
Right.
possibly,
Yes.
allegedly,
Yes.
involved,
Right.
and these types of things is what caused the demise of your marriage.
Right.
Okay. So when those things took place in your life, that's when you began to
Drink.
self-medicate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Self-medicate.
Okay. And so you began to drink, and then drinking led down a path of
Total destruction, and just a downward spiral.
total destruction
Right.
and a downward spiral.
Yes.
Now, you talked about drinking, and you also mentioned doing drugs, and you're doing crack cocaine. What did that lead to in your life?
Well, leading to drugs, and I ended up homeless on the streets. Then I had to survive, so I ended up prostituting.
Okay.
And I was in and out of jail, you know, for various things, drugs, prostitution, you know.
Okay.
Sometimes I could be so tired that I would fall asleep in abandoned buildings, so I'd go to jail for criminal trespassing,
Okay.
you know, criminal mischief. Someone
Yeah.
made me mad, and I broke a window, or, you know,
Right.
various things.
Right.
I was very, you know.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you went from being a Harris County police officer to a troubled marriage, to drugs and alcohol,
Right.
then on the streets,
Homeless, yes.
homeless on the streets,
Yes.
and on drugs, and also prostitution
Right.
from being in that to survive.
Right.
Wow. And you know what? It's always good when, number one, you share your story.
Yes.
So I'm really thankful to Ms. Survillion for sharing her story. First of all, so I really commend you, because it takes a brave woman to come on the set and talk about what she's been through so openly and so candidly. And the purpose of you coming was to make a difference in the lives of people that get to see this show. You know, to go from policewoman and someone in college and studying law enforcement to have the experience that you've had since that time, and to be where you are now is really, really big, and that in itself deserves a round of applause. You know, I mean, so I have to give you mad props for that. I mean, I think it's awesome, and we're gonna find out a little bit more about where you are now, because I think everybody needs to know where you are now, and obviously you're in a different place than you were before, and I'm looking forward to us talking about that in just a minute as well. Now, you also you said 4 kids.
Yes, in the marriage.
You had 4 kids in the marriage, a total of 5 children that you actually have.
Yes.
Okay, and then things happened also with the kids too, because their life was were certainly affected.
Definitely.
Yeah, with your absence.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even when I was there, I was absent because I was always on drugs and I was drinking. You know, I wasn't really there mentally. Okay. And I was just thinking that that took place like after you left. No, it started. I was doing it while I was in the marriage.
Okay. Now, I'm just curious. Are you and your husband friends now?
By the grace of God, yes.
By the grace of God, yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. You know, it's good when you can, go through your experience and the people that you had to fall out with. When your life changes, they can, take that place again. Yes. Not so much in marriage, but at least be amicable with one another.
Yes.
And I think that's wonderful. So how long have you actually been off of the drugs now?
4 years.
4 years. Wow, 4 years. Now, I know the road to recovery could not have been easy.
No.
I know the road to recovery could not have been easy.
No.
What was that like for you?
Well, all my life, when the trials and tribulations came, my grandmother, who had raised me, she always took me to church. She told me about God, but I never knew God for myself. I had a relationship with God. So when the trials and tribulations came about, well, I didn't love myself. I never thought that the God she talked about would hear an unjust woman like me. I wasn't worthy of him saving. I didn't love myself.
Yeah.
And so, in the midst of all that, I was tired. I was getting tired of the life, and things were just spiraling out of control. And it was one particular day, I just pretty much had given up on life itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one particular day that I had went by a store, and I asked for some water because I had been up 10 days straight just on drugs, and I was so hungry and dehydrated.
10 days straight?
10 days. I never slept. I was afraid to go to sleep. So I went to the store, and then the man said he couldn't give me no more water because I owed too many quarters. So I come out the store, and I asked the lady, would she give me some water or something to eat? And she cursed me so vulgar, and she said she don't feed crackheads, she don't feed drug addicts, and I was trash. So I began to walk down Antoine. I was bent over. I really was tired. And I come around the corner, and I ran into a strong woman of God.
You ran into a strong woman of God.
Yes.
On Antoine.
On Antoine.
In the midst of everything that was going on, in the midst of the people that had rejected you and said, I'm not going to give you no water.
Right.
You done used up enough of your quarters. You ain't got none. And then the woman who cursed you out and was ugly to you, you end up running into somebody else, a third person.
A third person.
That actually blessed you and helped you.
Oh, yes.
And you know what? We're going to find out more about that person when we come back with more of the Phil Phelps Show. You guys stick around.
Sky Trues custom eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Golden Boy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames.
Sky Trues.
All right, welcome back to the Pharaoh Phelps Show. My guest today is Pam Survillion. Welcome back, Pam. You know, we were talking about your experience being out there in the world and dealing with the prostitution, alcoholism, drug addiction, and things of that nature. And one day in the midst of you trying to find some water or some food, after having asked several people for help and nobody was really willing to help you, you're walking up Antoine
Right.
in Houston, Texas,
Yes.
and you walk into a place and you run across this lady, a third person
A third person.
that you ask, and that person really helped you that day. Tell me a little bit more about that experience and that person.
When I met this woman, at the time I met this woman, my hope was gone, and I had very little faith. My faith was slipping, but God was still in the mix. I didn't know that. So I met that third woman, and I says to her, "Can I have some change to get me something?" But before she said something, I said, "It's okay. Don't give me no money. Feed me, please." She says to me, "Hold on. I've been to the bank, but wait a minute." So she took her purse and she started feeling my hands. She says, "Open your hands." And she started feeling my hands with everything. She took her wallet out and she just dumped everything she had in my hand. And all this money was falling on the ground. And I kneeled down on the ground, and she got on the ground, kneeled down on the ground with helping me pick all this money up. And she said, "Do you have pockets?" I said, "No, ma'am." She said, "Baby, why are you crying so hard?" And then that was the first time I ever told anyone my story. I said, "Well, ma'am, I used to be a police officer, but I'm not anymore." I said, "My husband is gone, and all my kids are gone. I live on the streets, you know." She said, "Do you have a church home?" I say, "Yeah, I did when I was in law enforcement. Me and my family used to go there, but I'm not gonna get there no more." And she hugged me, and we began to talk. And she says, she told me her name was Liz. She was so beautiful. When she stood there and hugged me, when I was standing there, my hair was matted all up with sores in my scalp. You could see the bones in my body. I had no shoes on, and I was sleeping in abandoned beds. But she hugged me in her arms. And so we began to talk. And she said, I said, "You have a church home?" She said, "Yeah, I go to St. Stephen's." I say, "St. Stephen with Pastor Paul David Landrew?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Ma'am, that's my church home, but I ain't gonna get back there no more." She said, "Oh, honey, yes, you will." And so she hugged me. And so she left. And so the next day I came. I was down on Antoine and DeSoto in Easton, Texas, and I was getting drugs, getting high again.
Okay. The following day.
And then, yeah, after that.
Okay.
But I could feel this woman, and I took out running.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, this woman used to smoke cigarettes, and she was standing by the side of the building looking at the road with worry and despair in her eyes. And I came running around the bend, and she put her arms around me. And she didn't ask me, did I do drugs, because she knew the answer to that.
Okay.
She said, "You're hungry. Come on, what you want to eat?" And then she get me what I want to eat. And back then in the where she owned a business, and now because of the way I look, they forbid me to come there. They didn't want me in the store. But she say if she ever comes, let her come through. If she take anything, I'll pay for it. But I never did.
Wow.
Yes. So then I saw her. She came up. She had a beautiful brand new Lexus. Oh, she was royalty. And she said to me, "Hey, you still homeless?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "You still live on the streets?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "You want to go home with me?" I said, "You gonna take me home with you?" She said, "Yeah, if you want to go." I said, "Yeah, for how long?" She said, "For as long as you want to stay." I say, "For real?" She said, "Yeah." And I jumped in that Lexus, that sports car Lexus. She said, "We gotta make a stop." I said, "Okay." She stopped at Walmart.
Okay.
And because I had sores and matted up in my head, she stopped and she got all kind of medicine for my head. She got me underwear. She everything. She was pulling stuff off the shelf, and she paid for it.
Right, right.
She took me home and she scrubbed my head, and with the cream so she could get it well enough to do my hair. And at the time, she had a big old beautiful bedroom set, and she had a little sofa. She slept on the sofa, and she gave me her room to sleep. And then when she said, "Well, are you hungry?" I said, she said, "What do you want to eat?" And when it was always, "What did I want?" She gave me all beautiful clothes with tags on. She just, whatever I picked out, she gave to me. And then when her kids or her family came, her children came to see her, she put me at the head of her table. And I felt that this woman knew nothing about me. She had so much love under her little bitty finger to save my life, to want me to give my life to God. So she, after my scalp got well, she fixed my hair. She took me back to St. Stephen Baptist Church with Pastor Paul David Landry.
Wow.
And I stood up and I went there, and he said, "Don't I know you?" I say, "Yeah." He said, "You a policeman?" I say, "Not anymore, sir." I say, I lost my job. My husband left me. I don't have the kids. I'm homeless and I live on the street. But I met a lady named Elizabeth, and I called her and I say, she took me home with her. And he stopped right there. He said, "Where is she at? Call her here."
Wow.
Yeah. He said he was finna go out of town. He said, "But you hold on to her. Don't let her go before I get back." And then.
Wow. I mean, what kind of story is that? And, what a testimony. Sometimes God will just place the right people in your life to bless you during that time of struggle. And the fact that you ran across somebody, a woman who was a Christian woman, willing to help you, willing to take you into her home, didn't really know you.
Nothing, sure.
And the fact that you were on drugs and dealing with prostitution and drinking and all, but she still trusted God enough to bring you into her home, and trusted God enough to know that God was protecting her in the midst of somebody like yourself being in her home.
Right.
That story in itself, I mean, I'm fighting back my tears right now because I gotta handle the talk show right here.
Right.
But that story is simply phenomenal. And I knew about the story. I just learned a little bit more just now. And she brought you in and she clothed you.
She gave. Come to find out, the lady and I had the same story. The only difference between me and the strong woman of God, she knew God. She had a relationship with God. I didn't have a relationship with God. I had to call God, and I met him for real. And he came in, and during that time, she gave me, nothing she had in the world mattered to her. She gave me everything she had.
Wow.
She gave it all freely. She just didn't want it. Whatever she,
And healed you and nursed you back to good health, got your scalp back together. And, it's interesting that because she got your scalp back together because she's actually a hairstylist, from what I understand, right?
Yes.
And so she knew how to get right in there and do what she needed to do
Yes.
to get you back to where you needed to be.
Yes.
And we're going to hear more about that friendship, that relationship, and how it has grown, of course, over the years when we come back. You are, man, You know what? You are blessed.
Yes, I'm truly blessed.
All
the glory to God.
Yeah, you are quite blessed. And we're going to find out more about your blessings when we come back in just a moment with more Pamela Survillion's story.
Just want, oh my God, this small thing. See, because God, you know how to give good gifts. I wish I had somebody to your children. But now if I ask you for a fish, if my child asks for a fish and I know how to get a fish, that's good. I can give them the it of the fish. But my faith is not just for the fish. I want the river that the fish was swimming in.
Sky Trues custom eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny's Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Golden Boy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames. Sky Trues.
All right, welcome back to the Pharaoh Phelps Show. What a show we're having today as we get to hear the story of Pam Survillion. Survillion.
Right.
It's such a heartfelt story, and I just know that this story is going to touch the lives of so many people. When we left off, we were talking about Elizabeth Jackson, the woman who actually helped you during that time, and you guys are actually still friends to this day.
Yes.
And so she brought you in, she clothed you, she took care of your hair, and just everything. What did that experience feel like for you, having come off the street and being blessed by somebody like that?
Well, it was so beautiful. I knew it was about God, that someone could love me that much. She had so much love under her little finger that inspired me to call God. She told me all about God and told me how much He loved me. And I had been many people that prayed for me, but I never had to call God myself. And I got on my knees and I called God, and I called Him for real. And He heard my cry, and He stepped in.
Wow.
Yes, it was me He was waiting on.
Yeah. She said it was her that God was waiting on. He was waiting for you to get to that place where you were ready to get the help from Him that you needed so desperately. You know, we were talking about everything that you were going through and all that stuff. What was one of the lowest points for you in your fight, in your struggle? What was one of the lowest points? I know you became homeless.
Yes. Well, when I left my children, my baby was 1 year old, and that's all and during those times, I only could remember her face. I remember my little boy was 5, and my other 2 was about 10 or 11 or 12.
Okay.
Anyway, the children, you know.
Abandoning the children. And your youngest was 1?
Yes, she's 1 year old.
Okay.
She didn't know me.
So she didn't know her mom?
She didn't
At the point that you left, she didn't know you?
No.
Okay. And you know what? This brings me to this next point. And full speed ahead. Time has passed.
Yes.
That daughter that was 1 year old is now 14.
Yes.
And you were just recently reunited with her.
Yes.
We're all excited about that. So not only has God restored your life,
Yes.
but He has also restored your kids
Yes.
back into your life.
Yes.
Now I have to ask you, what does that feel like for you? Because I know it was a battle to get the kids. In fact, tell me a little bit about that struggle to get the kids, because you told me something that you've done over a period of time in an effort to reunite. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well,
Going by the house.
yes. Well, that was a forward from seeing the kids, even when I was trying to get my life together. And as God was still struggling with me, working with me on the inside to get my life together, He wouldn't let me have any, even though when we got a divorce, the judge gave me joint custody because they didn't feel that I was an unfit mother.
Okay.
I was on drugs and I needed help. That I wasn't, so, but he would tell me to take him to court. You know, I didn't have the money, but I kept crying to God, you know, and I would go in and out of my moments, struggles, and I kept crying. And I was determined, once I gave my life to Him, not to sell my body again. So I got approved for a grant to go to school, cosmetology school.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So she got a grant to go to cosmetology school in the midst of all the stuff that's going
Right,
on.
yeah, God was providing. So my daughter, my oldest daughter, had gotten an apartment.
Uh-huh.
She let me come and stay with her. It was way out on Westheimer. And I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and walk, because I'd had to carry 3 buses to get back to Antoine, to get to this cosmetology school that the government said I could go to school.
Okay.
Didn't have the funds, so I would sit by the building in a blanket waiting on the doors to open. And then the man came early one day and saw that I was sitting in front of the building. So he started coming at 5 and gave me a job to clean the building so I could make, because we didn't have a student loan. So I was just able to pay for my schooling and to learn how to do hair skill. I wanted to be like the woman that helped me.
Wow.
So I cleaned the building for my bus fare and stuff. And so with the money I made, I went to the Family Dollar and I bought a bunch of cleaning products, and I put it in a little bucket. And I'd go from building to building, barbershop to barbershop, asking them to clean their buildings. That's how I made my money. And I would take the people towels on the bus and wash them, because all of them knew Liz and they knew my story. And they knew. They could see me changing me. And then God blessed me with enough money that I got able to get a car.
Wow.
Then as I went on, God blessed me. He blessed me with my first apartment. Yes, and then I was working at I couldn't get a job in employment because I in and out of jail. Nobody wanted to hire me. I had a record. But there was a barbecue place on Antoine called Burns Barbecue. And every time I went in there and asked the man for a job, he told me no. But I came back every other day and I asked, and he said no. So the last time I came back, I said, God said, what time do I come back to work? And he was so sick of me coming in there. He said, can you be back tomorrow? He put me in the back washing pots and pans. And I washed pots and pans, and then he took me from the back and he put me in the front, and he owned 3 businesses, and everywhere he went, he had taken me with him. He owned a store on Deep-Ree, and the barbecue place shut down. And with that money, I was saving money now. I was determined. I didn't want to crack. No, I wanted beautiful hair. I wanted something. I wanted a place for my kids to come and see me. You know, and so I got an apartment, and then I ended up, that job fell through. I lost the apartment. My daughter was old, had gotten older. They called me. Her name was Darry. She asked me to come and stay with her. So I stayed with her with my grandkids, and I was just so happy. But I wanted my own house.
Yeah.
So the man called me again and put me over assistant manager at his other store. I had the money, and I got me a house
Okay.
in Fifth Ward, Texas.
Wow.
Yes.
And that's where you're currently at.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. What a story, man. You know, what just really just touches my heart about the whole story. Number one, I know Pam. And number two, the amount of determination that she had to have to go from on the streets to cosmetology school, catching 3 different buses to get to the school, and sitting outside sometimes, waiting for the doors of the school to open, to catch 3 different buses. That's determination to get there. And then when you get there, it's locked up and you're still having to wait. But then you're trying to find money, and you end up saying, I'll clean for you. You know, that's determination. I'll go in there and I'll clean. I'll earn my money. So you go in there and you clean, and then you say, okay, I can clean here. Let me try some other places where I can clean. You go to the dollar store and you get a little pail and you get stuff to clean, and you go somewhere else to clean. That is determination. But look at how it's paying off in your life. You know, you go to a place where you and you go in there 3 or 4 different times, and you're asking, or you go every other day, asking this guy, give me a job, give me a job. And then you walk in there one day and said, God said, when do I come back in so that I can go to work? And this man put you to work in the back, in the kitchen, cleaning pots and pans to bless your life. So you're making money now.
Right.
And then you started seeing life a little differently.
Yes.
And you started seeing the possibilities for your life.
Right.
You started seeing that I don't have to be in this place always.
Right.
God is providing. God is making
Yes,
provisions.
yes.
And determination is what got us there. You
Yes.
know, and that in itself deserves a round of applause from these people. You know, I mean, that is to be commended.
Yes.
You know, and it touches my heart to hear the story and the struggle and the fight. And then you wanted to see your kids.
I wanted to see it.
You know, you didn't give up on seeing your kids. You kept fighting through that. You know, you kept going by the house, leaving a little money for your baby, and sometimes it was rejected. But it didn't stop you. You went back again and gave some more money, or you gave a money order,
Right.
and different things.
Right.
And after so much time passed, your children are back in your life.
Yes. Yes.
You ended up living with your oldest daughter for a minute.
Right.
You know, I mean, that is just it just shows you, number one, the power of God.
Yes.
And secondly, the power of determination
Yes.
in the midst of those things that have fallen upon your lap in your life. You know what I'm saying? And I just think it's a beautiful thing. And today you got your daughter back.
Yes. In fact, she found out I was her mother when she was 10 years old. And I asked to see her. And he said no. And I went back down on my knees and I cried out to God. I say, God, you said you was going to let me see my children. Because he said, take me to court. Well, I didn't have that kind of money. But God said, take the money, put it up, and I'm going to turn it around. Just keep your eye on me. It took 4 more years. And I called and I said, can I see her? They say, yes, she can spend the summer with you. It took 14 years. God said, I'm going to soften their heart like I did Pharaoh's.
So, wow.
Yes, and then, now the store that I work at is slowed down. I've been banking at Houston Police Federal Credit Union for years. I went there, and I asked them, can I borrow $2,500? They said, well, we will let you have $500. You paid it back, but we can't let you have that much without a cosigner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll prove $1,000, but you got to have a cosigner. So I left. And I laid back down in my bed. I listened to church, and I had a little talk with Dr. Jesus.
All right.
I went back to the bank. I said, I want to apply for the $2,500 loan I asked for. And she said, well, I'm on the phone now with the loan officer. And she said, you need a cosigner. I say, I want to see the vice president of the bank. She called the vice president of the bank down. She said she's requesting to see you. She says, Okay, she came and she sit in the office. I said, ma'am, I need $2,500. She said, what for? I said, well, I just got reunited with my daughter. It took 10 years for her to know I'm a mother. 4 years for God to soften her father's slim heart. I want to buy her some school supplies. I want to buy her some clothes. I say, and it's slow at my job. I want to pay some bills because I'm not late. And I want to keep the rest in the bank to build up, my credit. She said, ma'am, we can't let you have this kind of money. You got to have a co-signer. I say, ma'am, I do have a co-signer. She say, who's your co-signer? I say, God Almighty is my co-signer. And you got my word that if you let me have it, I'll pay it back. She say, ma'am, I'm going to give you the loan for 30 days. 30 months. 30 months.
30 months.
Your first payment will start in 45 days at $102. She said, thank you, God bless. Step to the next one and your money will deposit in your account.
Wow.
Yes.
Look at the power of God. To go into a bank and they tell you you cannot get a loan. Or they will give you $500.
Right.
But if you wanted $1,000, you would need a cosigner. You said you went home, you had a little talk with Dr. Jesus, as you put it,
Yes.
and you came back to the bank and you said, I want a loan for double that, practically. I want it for $2,500. They asked you who was your cosigner. You said, Jesus is my cosigner. The next thing you know, you got $2,500 in your bank account.
Yes.
Nothing but God. And a lot of times, that just reminds me of what we've heard all of our lives. We have not. Come on now.
Because you ask not.
Because you ask not. Sometimes you just have to ask for what you want and then operate in faith that what you ask for, you're going to get.
Yes.
Can the church say amen?
Amen.
Or touch your neighbor. Hey, I think that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yes.
And what a testimony. Now, in the midst of all that you dealt with,
Yes.
you have discovered you have a talent in poetry.
Yes.
Yes. Now, you recited a poem for me a moment ago.
Yes.
And if you could, speak into that camera and share that poetry with this audience, because it really touched my heart, and I know it's going to touch their heart. So I want to do one piece here, and then in the end, we're going to do a tribute piece to the lady that blessed your life, Elizabeth Jackson, that you've written on her as well. So if you don't mind, without any further ado, could you bless the people that are listening in TV land with that poem that you've written?
All the way home. I'm too close to the end of my journey to turn back now. I want to live my life for you, Jesus, and you showed me how. Just a closer walk with thee. Thank you, Lord, you heard my plea. It doesn't matter how low you get. All you got to do is call on Jesus and repent. On our journey, it get hard sometimes, and you want to quit, but you got to keep on striving to make it to the top. Trust in him. Lean on him. Clothe yourself in his righteousness alone. Oh, flawless to stand before thy throne. Oh, Jesus, the solid rock I stand. All of the ground is just sinking sand. Jesus is more than enough. You can count on him when the going gets tough. Count on him when the road get rough. Yes, God has brought me a mighty long way, provided me with shelter, food, and clothing. He showed me you can make it even when your mother and father's gone. Sometimes you feel you're left out there all alone, but all you got to do is grab onto God's unchanging hand and hold on. You'll make it all the way home.
Awesome. Awesome. What an inspirational poem. And I'm certain that people will be blessed by that gift that you have. It's amazing how we discover gifts within ourselves when we're going through different struggles in our lives. A lot of times it just sharpens us and it refines us and helps us to discover new things about ourselves that we would never have discovered had we been on the path of all the good things happening. So Pam, I just thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
I know you will have much more continued success in your life, and so many more things will be added on to you other than what's already been added on to you. You are certainly operating in faith, and I just admire your tenacity to press on in the midst of the bad stuff that happens in your life and that has happened. God has certainly put his hand on you.
Yes.
Yes, certainly. I always hope that everyone that watched the show can get something from it. And today's show is definitely one of those shows that you can get something from. You can be inspired, educated, and motivated by what you just saw from my wonderful guest, Pam Survillion. Now, for more information on this show, you can certainly reach me at Let's Talk About It 12TV at gmail.com. That's Let's Talk About It 12TV at gmail.com. You can also find our shows on our YouTube channel by simply typing in the name Ferrell Phelps, and you will see all of our shows listed right there. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this edition of Let's Talk About It. We're going to come back with the last portion of this show where Pam is going to give a tribute to the woman who blessed her life, Elizabeth Jackson. So you guys stick around for that final piece. All right? We'll see you then. Hello everyone and welcome back. As promised, we have Pam Survillion back to give her tribute to the woman who blessed her life during her troubled time, Miss Elizabeth Jackson. Pam, go on with your tribute.
My Father in heaven says, Elizabeth Hatchett, stand tall. My Father in heaven says, Elizabeth Hatchett, stand tall so the world will know who you are. My Father in heaven says, he's smiling at you. You angel of God, my bold servant. Your job was well done. You shall be blessed abundantly here on earth. Your children will be blessed, and their children, and all your descendants for the seed you sow. Oh, but that's not all. Elizabeth Hatchett, my Father in heaven says, your true reward is not here on earth, it's in heaven. Oh, Elizabeth, when you get there, the clouds gonna spread wide. The doors of heaven gonna fly open. You'll be able to lay your head on the bosom of my Father's heart. You'll walk hand in hand with him on streets of gold. Every day will be Sunday, and Sabbath gonna have no end. You're gonna flourish in the land of milk and honey. Oh, but that's not how Elizabeth Hatchett, I, Pamela Foreman, breathe love. Stand there thanking you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. I remember the day I met you. My body was almost dead. My strength was gone, and the tears that came down my eyes were tears of blood that had hit my father's cheek. Oh, Elizabeth, you didn't keep me no way, shape, form, or fashion. You took my little weak body. You wrapped it up with fine linen and the smell of sweet perfume. You took my head and laid it on the bosom of your heart. You gave me warm milk and juice when I was able to walk and not wobble. You took my home to my earthly father, Pastor Paul David Landrew at St. Stephen Baptist Church. For I was in the wilderness, home was down the street, but I didn't know the way. Thank you, Elizabeth Hatchett. Girl, I love you with all my heart.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow, the words came out good. I remembered it all.
I know, right?